Welcome back again. My name is Hyacinth and I'll be your host for the next several episodes where we will be discussing different methodologies. Let's begin. ALM, otherwise known as active learning methodology, fulfills the need of the classroom process for upper primary schools. Research shows that students learn best when they are engaged with course material and participate in their learning. The model emphasizes the delivery of course material. Students are engaged in what is known as active learning. To be active, students must read, write, discuss, and/or be engaged in solving problems. A typical ALM classroom activity would be a 10-minute drill. This drill is broken into activities such as reading and memorization exercises. You would also see a teacher examining a grammar error by contrasting it with the proper way to apply grammar. Then the students would do a 10-minute drill to understand how to correct the error. Content and language integrated learning, CLIL, is where a subject is taught in the target language rather than the first language. Tasks are designed to allow students to focus on and learn to use the new language as they learn the new subject content. The audiolingual method. During World War II, America discovered that most of the world knew English, but few Americans knew a foreign language. Those who did know a foreign language were mistrusted by mainstream Americans. In Europe, it's mandatory that a student learn a foreign language. During World War II, American troops were besieged by stolen radio transmissions by enemy troops. To compensate, the United States asked Native Americans to use dialects unknown outside of the United States. As preciously stated, before the war, people who spoke a foreign language were looked down upon. Many people believed that if you come to an English-speaking nation you should learn English. During World War II, people who were of European and Japanese descent and those who spoke languages used by the Axis powers were mistrusted and treated as enemies of the nation. After the war concluded, some citizens decided to learn a foreign language to help the United States against foreign enemy agents. Today it's still mandatory in European schools to learn a foreign language. In the United States, schools now offer foreign language classes. With the influx of a high percentage of Spanish-speaking Americans, schools have implemented Spanish language programs in many Southwest schools. Because the military needed to learn languages quickly during the war, the audiolingual method was created. Taking cue from the direct approach, students learned phrases, but not grammar, in order to learn a language. They would listen to a phrase and repeat it until they could speak it without having to think. The students could learn to master a language in a very short period of time. However, they still were not able to read or write in a foreign language. This method was perfect for a spy to listen and infiltrate enemy positions. The major problem with learning this method was that students did not learn grammar, reading or writing. They learned direct phrases that weren't expanded with the addition of many new vocabulary terms or grammatical reasoning behind the terms. A new method, PIMSLA, was adopted to help students learn a foreign language using a backwards chain drill. It is used by the military and CIA, along with the new Rosetta Stone CD programs. The strengths of this method is that it uses mimicry by listening and repeating. The weaknesses are that students overlearn patterns in order to use L2 automatically. Vocabulary is limited as the learners only learn survival English. Audiolingualism, the emphasis is on learning grammatical and phonological structure. It involves drills and pattern practice through mechanical repetition. The basal reader approach. The basal reading approach is a method of teaching reading to children. It involves using a series of books, or readers, tailored to a specific reading level. This approach has been used for centuries and is still in use today. BICS-CLP, basic interpersonal communication skills, the skills involved in everyday communication: listening, speaking, carrying on basic conversation, understanding speakers, and getting one's basic needs met. Blended learning. Blended learning is very important to teaching ESL. What this means is that the students learn from different sources. Some are from books, the whiteboard, games, video and audio material. Each one of these areas benefits the student in different ways. If you teach from a grammar book, the students will learn grammar and writing, but audio and video lessons will help their listening and speaking skills. The games will help them practice and recycle previous lessons. Don't think games are a waste of time, they can be used to help students practice what they learned. Space out the different learning cycles during different days of the week. This will help students to recycle what they have learned. Have the students interact with each other while they learn. This way one student can ask a question while the other student answers it. The students will learn faster than if you only speak to them. CLA, the Cognitive Academic Language Learning approach, is specifically designed to help students make the transition from ESL classes to mainstream, content area classes. It is based on the theoretical assumptions of BICS, that the developments of social conversational language skills are not sufficient to ensure success in the academic environment. It is also based on the belief that content-rich lessons will be more interesting and motivating for students. CLA lessons have 3 parts. Content. The content should come from the social science, math, or other content area curriculum at the appropriate grade level. Language. The language of the lesson is the vocabulary, grammar, and function, describing, defining, classifying, etc., of the content area. Strategy. Specific learning strategies are explicitly taught and practiced during each CLA lesson. Strategies include organizing, planning, attending to specific types of information, self-monitoring for progress, self-evaluation, grouping, note-taking, using imagery to understand and remember new information, transferring what is known to new situations, elaboration, making inferences to guess meanings or fill in gaps, using resource materials such as dictionaries and encyclopedias, and working together cooperatively. The important elements of CLA. Hands-on activity that leads to discovery learning. Use of realia, visuals, and other non-textual material to reinforce the language of the lesson. Explicit discussion of the strategies students are using to learn and discover. Use of note-taking, outlining, and other academic skills. Encouragement of high-level cognitive skills such as analyzing, synthesizing, and hypothesizing. The CLA method incorporates the 3 previously identified categories of learning strategies: metacognitive, cognitive, and socio-affective. Through carefully designed lesson plans tied to the content curriculum, teachers explicitly teach the learning strategies and have students apply them in instructional tasks. These plans are based on the following propositions. Mentally active learners are better learners. Strategies can be taught. Learning strategies transfer to new tasks. Academic language learning is more effective with learning strategies. CLT. As many institutes became aware of the needs of students and the necessity to ensure all students learn properly, the CLT was created, combining many of the methods of teaching. It was created by the mid-1980s as an approach to create the perfect methodology to teach students. Its main principle was to teach students how to use the language in real-life communication, while developing speaking. Students are taught that speaking is as important as grammar. The theory behind CLT suggests that we learn language by using it. However, we use language in 4 different ways, which we can think of as competencies. The best way to develop communicative competence is for learners to strengthen these areas of competence. Brown, page 1. CLT is a communicative method of learning, and many critics have stated it does not maintain the norm of classroom standards by having enough grammatical exams or being grammatically focused as other methodologies such as the grammar translation method or the direct approach of learning. The main reason is that the instructor uses more classroom time to allow the learners to speak and do activities which are not testable in the normal means. This would be by utilizing role play, classroom discussion, and speaking and pronunciation games. CLT allows learners to be able to communicate well with each other and is not focused primarily on grammar and is testable on the means of one's grammatical knowledge. It is highly useful to help a learner obtain fluency quickly and stress-free, as many learners can learn from different backgrounds at the same time. Learners can learn the same words and work together in groups or during activities to help each other obtain fluency. It is not a method as where learners primarily studying grammar and vocabulary. Instead, all skills are utilized: reading, writing, speaking and listening. It is one of the most popular methodologies used today. Well, that is going to do it for this lesson. We will continue methodologies in the next few episodes. Until then, cheerio.